guys, greetings from Bulgaria. I'm quite excited to shoot the new video from our xUnit Selenium test series. I got inspired yesterday. I watched a really nice webinar organized by JetBrains. It was called Modern UI Test Automation with Selenium Libraries. Actually, it was dedicated for Java test automation. However, I got inspired by the demo project they used. And today I prepared something really exciting for you, so keep watching. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for Lambda test videos, because each week there are quite exciting new videos and tutorials. So let's begin. First, in the previous chapters of our tutorials and our course, we talked about what is xUnit and why you should care. Then we set up a project using Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. And then in the previous video from the series, we talked about the different attributes and some tips and tricks and how you can write a simple Selenium test. It was a long video, but I hope that it was quite useful to you. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. And today, using the example that I'm going to show you in a minute, we are going to talk about test-driven tests using xUnit and how you can use these features for writing really stable Selenium tests. The test application that I was talking about, it's called To-Do MVC. And probably if you watch the QA space, you know that the Selenium is the most popular test automation tool. However, there are new other popular right now test automation solutions such as Playwright, Cypress, etc. And they used to market themselves that they're better than Selenium, especially for new technologies such as React, Angular, and others. But as you can see on my screen, really, this is not the case. This is like a demo application, demo website, that it's similar to the To-Do application that we already wrote a test about. However, it's actually implemented in every single one of these popular technologies. And we're going in this demo, in this chapter, in our xUnit tutorial for beginners. So I'm going to show you how to write a test for each one of them in a single test using test-driven xUnit tests. I already opened 3 of them. As you can see, it's the same application written in Angular, React, and not Knockout.js. It's just a simple to-do application where you just type something, clean the car, press enter, and this is added here, and then you can delete it or check it. So our test will be to open a single technology here by the name of the technology. Then when it's opened here, we are going to add a few items. We are going to check one of them and check that one of them left. But we are going to write it in a really generic manner. And I'm going to show you the real power of Selenium, that you can use it to automate all of them in a single test. So let's begin. Just as a quick reminder, in the previous video, in the description below, you can find the previous source code. Just as a quick reminder, we created in the previous chapter this project, xUnit for first Selenium project, and we added a few dependencies. The most important of them are WebDriver Manager, who is responsible for downloading the correct driver, matching your browser. Then we use these 3 for xUnit. We have the Selenium WebDriver. Right now, I'm using the stable version, but if you wish, you can use the new Selenium 4. And also, we will need this .NET Selenium Extras with helpers This is the so-called smart waiters that can wait for particular element to appear or for particular text in a field, right? So I'm just going to copy paste this particular test and start from the beginning. So I'm going to name this test class to do tests. Here it is. To do tests, I'm going to remove any other attributes, right? And we're going to start clean just with a single Chrome driver and the driver manager. And right now, if you remember, to create xUnit test, we need to mark it with the fact attribute. So first, we're going to create and automate just one of the technologies, for example, React. And then we're going to change the attribute, and I'm going to show you how we can create a test-driven test using xUnit. So we're going to name it, for example, verify to-do list created successfully. This is a really good name, right? We're not going to use Chrome options. Actually, you can, if you remember how we define, test initialize method in xUnit, you can use the constructor. Basically, the constructor will be executed before each test. So it's much better to move the web driver manager here, and also like private read-only fields. We are going to move the web driver. In C Sharp, the best practice to name private variables is to use underscore. And then I'm going to move this here. New Chrome driver. And also, as I said, we're going to need WebDriver weight. So I'm going to create one more private field, and I'm going to initialize the WebDriver weight. We need to add the using. There is a shortcut if you press Control dot to add the usings that you saw above. Again, WebDriver weight, again with the underscore. And then here I'm going to initialize it, and we need in the constructor to provide the driver and the timeout. Usually the best practice to provide, as you know, in order to work with timeouts, we use the timespan class. And there is a really handy method from seconds where you can mention, for example, 30, which means 30 seconds. However, it's not a good practice to place directly the so-called magic numbers. So I'm going to initialize here on top a constant of integer. And as you know, one of the ways to name properly constants, it's with upper score, with upper letters for element timeout. And here I will place 30, and this is how you know what this is actually. And if you want to change it, you can change it here. And as you know, we need to implement, in order to close the browser, we need to implement the iDisposable interface. And here in this method, I'm going to close the Chrome. To call the quick methods, and this is it. Now we need to navigate here to our website. So driver, navigate, go to URL, and we need to navigate to do.mbc.com. Now we need to, as I said, we need to open by the name of the technology the particular links. If you see when I inspect it, we see that this is actually an anchor, an A tag, and it actually contains the name of the technology. So there is a really handy locator in WebDriver, right? So I'm going to create one additional method again for making our test stable. And I will name this method. First, it will return iWeb element, and I will name the method wait and find. Maybe this is not the best name because it's doing two things, but anyway, it will help us to make our test stable. Here we are going to provide the native Selenium locator. And then here, as you know, the WebDriver wait is the class that we use for wait for a particular condition to happen inside the element in order it to be visible or particular text to be there. We use this until method. And then as part of this package that I showed you before, it's called .NET Selenium Extras Wait Helpers. We have this expected conditions. As you can see, when I press Control dot, Visual Studio is suggesting to add this using. And then here you have this func, or this is called a delegate, that you don't need to define it. Basically, it accepts just a locator that we already supplied. Basically, inside it, the thing that we are going to do here, for 30 seconds, we're going to wait until the element is there, the page is fully loaded, no matter the technology. And then this until, if we hover, you will see that it returns the found iWeb element. If the element is there in the first 10 seconds, then we'll just wait 10 seconds. Also, through here, you can configure the sleep interval. So basically, you can decrease it to check every 200 milliseconds whether the element is there or not, or for the particular condition. So here, instead of driver find element, we're going to use this wait and find elements new methods. Also, in order to make our test readable, I'm going to create different methods. Later on, you can move them to page objects to make the tests even more maintainable and readable. I will call this private method open technology application app. And here I'm going to provide as text the name of the application name. So here I'm going to return wait and find. First, actually, let's say web element technology link. Technology link, which will we're going to use this wait and find element. And here, as I said, there is a really handy locator, native locator. It's called by link text. This will help us to find the anchor by its text. And here I'm just going to provide the name. And later we need, since this is void, we don't have actually to return anything. Here we just need to click it. Here it is. So for now, in the first test, again, we're going to later make this data-driven. Let's see which will be the one that we want to open. Let's say that we're going to open React. So here I will type React. This will open the new window, right? And now we need to inspect the React application here. We need first to type text here in the what needs to be done. Again, I'm going to expect it. As you can see, there isn't any useful like ID or something more stable. Here, when you press Control F in Chrome, we can test XPath locators. There are certain extensions for Chrome and Firefox for generating these XPaths for you, but I suggest you to learn how to do them yourself because they cannot usually write stable locators like I'm going to use to do right now. Also, in the descriptions below, you will find a few articles that can help you to learn how to master XPath and other locators, so check them out. So here in this input, I propose to find this input by this placeholder, because if we see it here, you will see that it's again the same input, and we have the same placeholder. The placeholder is this gray text here. If we inspect it, we see that in every different technology, this is the same. We have the same placeholder. So in React, again, I can test it. We need to find an input. Then in this square brackets, we need to mention the attribute, actually with add, and then the name of the attribute, placeholder. Then we use equal sign and name basically what is the value for this placeholder attribute. In our case, this is what needs to be. And as you can see, we found the input, so we're going to use it. Again, I'm going to create a new method, and let's name it add new to-do item. And here I'm going to say in the car. When I press Control dot, it suggests that it's creating directly for me the method with the expression body, but since we will have more item. And now in the to-do item, first we need to find this input, right? Also, you don't need every time to mention here iWeb element. Actually, we can use the keyword var, which will automatically be changed to iWeb element when you hover. So again, to make our test shorter, I'm going to use var, and then to do input. Again, we're going to use the new wait and find element. And here we need to use XPath. By XPath, we already generated it. Here it is. And then we need to type the text. As you know, we type texts with the method same keys. And here we're going to type this to-do item. This will type the text into this input. However, this is not enough. Clean the car. Actually, as you can see, there isn't a button to click it. Actually, we need first to click in the input, then press enter. In order to be able to do such operations, there is another special class that comes from Selenium. It's called actions. Actually, you can do with it any kind of more complex actions such as drag and drop and others. But in this case, we're going to press the key enter, actions, and then here again we're going to initialize it right here. Equal to new actions, and we need to provide the driver. Now, how we use it? Actually, under here in this add new to do item, we actually want, as I said, first we can, this actions class actually implements another design pattern. It's called builder design pattern, or also it provides the so-called fluent interface. The fluent interface is actually the possibility for chaining different methods with dot, as you will see in a minute. So here first we need to click in the input, and then the second action that we need to perform is to again using the same keys. In Selenium, you can use the same keys for typing text, but also for pressing keys or uploading files. So in our case here, we need to mention the key that we want to press. In this case, this will be enter. And then in order to perform this chain of actions, we need to call at the end the perform method. And actually this will first click, then press enter, and then perform and execute all of it. And then here we can add a few other items. In the house, buy ketchup, right? Now, as I said, the last action that we want to do is that we want to check here this particular checkbox. But as you can see, there isn't actually any ID here. We need actually to find it. In order to make it more generic, we need to find first this label here, and then find the input on top of it. In order to do that, again, check the description below. There will be an article to explain how you can use the approach called XPath access. This is a little bit more complex XPath, but it's really powerful, and it's the best way for writing stable locators. So first we need to find the label, but by its text here, as you can see, this is a label, and it has inner text clean the car. In order to find a particular HTML attribute by its text, there is an XPath method called text, and we can write text equal clean the car. Here is the label, and in order to select again the input above, there is a special statement in XPath called preceding sibling, and then 2 dots and mention input. And as you can see, we selected the item above. So we are going to use this generic XPath to basically get, I will name it get item checkbox, and then we're going to click it. In this case, I will click by picture. And here we're going to click it. This thing will return iWeb element, and here we'll name it to item. And now we are going to return, again, we're going to use the wait and find element by XPath. And here, in order to make this more generic, we are going to use the so-called string interpolation. We start with $, and then we use curly brackets, and inside of them we provide the parameter itself. And now the last thing will be to verify that we have exactly 2 items after we checked the third. Let me show you how we are going to do that. Every test needs to verify something, right? So here I will name it by ketchup. We're going to cross it, and we need to verify this span here. How we are going to find it? Actually, if we expand the span, you will see that here, this is the footer. Again, we can use XPath footer / span, and this is completely enough. Footer span, maybe you can use later this to do count, but I found out that in the different technologies, not everywhere we have this class. So we are going to use just this particular XPath. And now I will again create a private method called assert left items. And here we're going to provide 2. I'm going again to press Ctrl dot and generate this particular method. Here I will name this expected count. And now what we need to do first, we need to find the technology, the link, the span. Result span equal to wait and find element, again by dot XPath. And after that, we need to provide an if-else condition depending on whether the expected count is less or equal to 0 or not. Also, we're going to create one more method called validate inner text is, and here we are going to provide the actual element and the expected text. In this case here, we're going to use again string interpolation and mention expected count left. And here the same method, but here it will be item left. actually vice versa, items, and now we need to generate again control dot, and here we need to use our WebDriver wait until methods, again expected conditions, and there is another method called text to be present in element, and this accepts actually an element, the result span, and then the expected. Here it is. And again, this will work for React. Now, how we can do it? Data-driven. In order to do it data-driven, there is another attribute. It's called theory. And when you mention something as theory, we can here add a new parameter. In this case, here I will use technology. And I already created the list of all the different technologies. And we're going to use this technology or technology name here to make this. And now, if we rebuild the project, and if we go to the test explorer, wait a bit. And now when we go to the test explorer, you will see that we already have 22 different tests verifying the same thing. You can play with it, run with it, and you will see that this really works quite well. So this was our chapter today. I showed you how this is really fast. I'm not going to execute them because it's going to spend some time. But this is really powerful, and Selenium is a really powerful library, so don't underestimate it. You can use it for everything. In the next video part of our module for teaching you how to write xUnit Selenium tests in C Sharp, we're going to reuse our example from today to run our tests in parallel. So stay tuned. If you have questions, you can write to the support of Lambda Test or visit their website or check their blog. There are really nice tutorials there. Also, don't forget that you can check the blog here, and you can get certified about Selenium. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next chapter.